Bronny James is a Laker because Clutch Sports and LeBron James made sure everybody knew we want him to be a Laker. I was a little critical when he had one good, really nice G League game, and they quickly moved him up, to the Lakers. And I'm like, guys, now you're asking me as a broadcaster to lie to the audience, and I'm not going to do that. The minute you made that decision to wedge Bronny onto the Lakers,
Yep.
the most sacred part of sports is the uniform. You gave somebody a uniform, and many question whether he is uniform worthy at the NBA level. One of the reasons I've always been so impressed with LeBron James, he didn't grow up with a father. Okay.
Colin Cowherd reacts to the Stephen A. Smith and LeBron James confrontation. Check out what he had to say, and then I'll come back with my comments.
I was thinking about this topic. I didn't do it on TV because I didn't know if it was worthy. Stephen A. Smith, LeBron James had that interaction, right?
Should have covered it on TV. It'd been a good
it's
look.
funny. I've always been a fan of LeBron, and I know Stephen A. I texted him twice recently. Former teammate over at ESPN.
100 million.
And I'm always sensitive. I'm glad my son and daughter did not choose broadcasting. I wouldn't want them to be compared to their dad. And if they got criticized, my take is, well, you got into this business.
Tough business.
My first reaction is Bronny James is a Laker because Clutch Sports and LeBron James made sure everybody knew we want him to be a Laker.
Yeah, I think that's obvious by now. Even though Rich Paul, Clutch Sports, LeBron, they'll never admit to it, but you were sending out the smoke signals to every team in the NBA except the Lakers. Like, look, if y'all try to draft Bronny, he's going to go overseas. So I don't know how he got all that leverage. Bronny, he had an amazing college career and he did his thing. So I guess teams listen to Bronny and Rich Paul and Clutch Sports, I guess.
He was not a dominant college player. In fact, his size and skill set is really not that of an NBA player. He's 6'2", but not a point guard. Not a lot of 6'2" off guards in NBA history, and right now he's not shooting particularly well. He's athletic. He's a good kid, smart. I think he was draftable. It was one of the weaker drafts. I defended the Lakers drafting him. A great draft, maybe not. In this draft, which was one of the weaker drafts, about every fourth or fifth NBA draft, this draft coming up is very domestic and very, very interesting at the top. There's some really good players from great programs. Last year was an international draft and a lot of projecting. Didn't have a problem being drafted. It was a bit of a flex for Clutch Sports and LeBron to get him in LA.
Of course.
Kind of a power flex. And again, you're making $8 million. You were wedged into an organization that probably, in most years wouldn't have drafted a player of your skill level. I tend to defend journalists having the right to opinions, and people say, well, here's one of the things where I think LeBron James in his mind is doing the right thing.
Unfortunately, you can't have an opinion when it comes to Bronny James. If you say anything that seems constructive criticism, like you're still going to be known as a hater. You're hating on LeBron. You may get canceled. You may lose sponsorship deals. So you have to walk on eggshells whenever you're talking about LeBron and especially Bronny James. I get it. He's a great kid, but he's in the NBA. He's in a public sport. So people had the right to make an opinion. Some may be respectful with it. Some may be disrespectful with it. But at the end of the day, you can be respectful and still catch a lot of backlash for critiquing Bronny James.
In his mind is doing the right thing. Don't badmouth my son. But I've seen many broadcasters get their kids into broadcasting, and their kids aren't very good. Some are not. And that's the reality of a public-facing job. Mayor, basketball player, sportscaster. You're not... this is not a job that's, you write annuities or you're in waste management. Like everybody knows his name. So my take is, listen, you have an $8 million contract. You're fair game, right? That's the way it goes.
Should be,
but you played basketball. I've tried to never make it personal, although, like I said for years about Carmelo Anthony, I'm like, man, if you're not willing to play defense, James Harden, I felt the same way. You're not a great teammate because defense is effort. Offense is a lot of skill. It's a lot of fun. Playing defense sucks. It's hard. So what you're basically saying, if you won't defend, and I feel this about Luka, is, I'm kind of above that. Well, the other 10 guys aren't.
And think about it. You just critique Carmelo Anthony, Luca. These are going to be some of the greatest players in NBA history as far as like top 25, top 30, or however you want to rank them. You can't even say anything critically about Bronny James. You can't say anything that's, critiquing him in a respectful way. Because if you do, you're going to catch some backlash and you may get some calls from Rich Paul and Clutch Sports. If you can say that about Luca, if you can say that about Carmelo Anthony not playing defense, what's your opinions on Bronny James? Why aren't you making multiple 15-minute segments out of it?
So I've always thought when players don't commit to the defensive end, I think less of them. And you're kind of sending a message to teammates, hey, you do that. I'll do the fun part.
What do you think about Bronny, though?
And so that's one of the reasons I've always respected LeBron is in his defense in the last 20 games. Jesus, it doesn't even make sense for a 40-year-old. So, I've always been a huge LeBron fan, and I actually supported the Lakers drafting Bronny. I supported Bronny playing in that game so the father-son record could be set. I'm for it. I was a little critical when he had one good, really nice G League game, and they quickly moved him up, to the Lakers. And I'm like, guys, now you're asking me as a broadcaster to lie to the audience, and I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, I don't understand why all these boxes have to be checked off when it comes to talking about Bronny James. If he gets in the game, then you can talk about him. If he stays in the G League forever, you're never going to mention him. It's like everything has to fall in place, like the domino effect. It's like, okay, he's in the NBA now. He's playing versus the Sixers. Tyrese Maxey cooked him. I don't want to say anything bad about him because I can't. So you're seeing what the media is doing right now. They're trying their best to protect Bronny James, but, call it like how you see it. It is what it is.
That he's not an NBA player. He may work himself into a, eighth, ninth guy in a roster, and I'm rooting for that because I really do think Savannah and LeBron have done a wonderful job considering this generational wealth. They're good people. They're grounded as much as you can be if you're Ronaldo, Messi, LeBron, Brady, right? Like you just kind of bake in some of this ain't normal, right?
I'm sure a lot of parents raise great kids that are currently in the NBA or trying to fight to get to the NBA, but are you rooting for them as well, or are you just rooting for Bronny because he's the son of LeBron James and with Clutch Sports? So again, when you say these words, people are going to break them down. So salute to Bronny. I wish him the best, and I wish everybody the best that's in the NBA, trying to get to the NBA, but you can't really salute everybody. You just got to salute the people that are the sons of LeBron James.
So it's just interesting.
It's real talk, man.
I think the audience wants me to have definitive takes and take a side. But I think Stephen A. Smith does have a right to be honest about Bronny, but I also get the dad part. But I do come back to, listen, the minute you made that decision to wedge Bronny onto the Lakers,
yep,
the most sacred part of sports is the uniform. You gave somebody a uniform, and many question whether he is uniform worthy at the NBA level. Like you can say what you want that owners do and GMs do, but that uniform in any sport, that is what makes grown men cry.
And that's the thing. A lot of people are saying, well, it's nepotism. He should look out for his kid. That's true. Look out for your peoples. But when it's like you're playing a professional sport and you got other players there as well, players that could help, there could be that special player that could have made a huge difference for the Lakers. Maybe a Quincy Oliveri that could have helped. But, LeBron James, he's going to get the benefit of the doubt. And again, if he was able to get into the NBA this way, cool. But it's okay to call it like how you see it from time to time.
They work 20 years to wear an NBA uniform. Hell, it can be a 10-day contract, man. If you get 10 days in the NBA for the rest of your life, I was an NBA player. And so when you get somebody to put that jersey on for the Los Angeles Lakers, there's going to be some animosity. There are going to be people who say, wait a minute, time out now. Come on now. And so it's one of those, I know I'm supposed to take a side on this. Sometimes I'm if I'm ever critical of the media, social media has made simplicity the go-to apparatus. And I think Bronny, Stephen A., LeBron, I think it's complicated. I think there's the dad thing, there's the history thing, there's the journalist thing. And I hated to see it because I love LeBron, and I really like Stephen A. Smith. I like them both. They're really good at what they do.
Of course, you're not going to choose a side because you're with the media. I guess you're cool with Stephen A. and cool with LeBron. But again, LeBron, he crashed out for no reason. He tried to, make it look like it was something else when in actuality, it was really about his ego. Like, you bad-mouthing me, talking about me. I'm trying to be the GOAT, but you putting all this stuff and these narratives out there about me that in LeBron James' eyes that aren't true. So you combine all that, add Bronny in the mix. That's where you got LeBron James crashing out on Stephen A. Smith, but he took it overboard. He didn't have to go that route.
And I know that's considered a soft pedal, but that's how I feel about it.
It's so fascinating because you're asking people to just bring a little bit of nuance into the discussion with the LeBron Stephen A. Smith thing, and there's just none of that. There's none of that. There's like this huge anti-LeBron, he's ruining Bronny's life kind of angle, and then there's the Stephen A. Smith step to LeBron, and now he's getting now LeBron's getting in his face and he's paying the price for his actions. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, I'm doing the lip reading when I'm watching LeBron, and he's saying like keep my son out of this. And to your point, on a very basic level, Bronny is an NBA player with a large profile. He's going to get discussed. Like, there's no universe where he's not going to be criticized like that.
And as soon as you criticize him, you face backlash like Stephen A. Smith. You got to worry about people running up on you. He didn't say nothing bad about Bronny. It was really directed toward LeBron. But again, the crash out that LeBron James did, it was unwarranted. He didn't have to go that route. Rich Paul, everybody got his number, but I guess they decided not to use it.
And played at USC and Sierra Canyon. He was a high-profile high school player.
And so to me, it's like on a very basic level, we have to acknowledge Stephen A.'s right to discuss Bronny. that's very, to me, that's a very simple part of it. But then there's another reality, which is like, okay, LeBron probably feels like Stephen A's used him a little bit like a punching bag over the course of the last, year or two. And I think LeBron's sick of it and he's lashing out. So on one hand, I'm like, okay, I also support LeBron's right to confront Stephen A. and be like, hey, dude, what the heck? But like the specific point he decided to argue regarding his son, it's hypocritical. Because to your point, as soon as you elevate Bronny to this level, how could you possibly hope to protect him from that type of criticism? It's part of the deal.
Well, at the end of the day, you can't protect him forever. You wanted him to be an NBA player. He's an NBA player. This comes with it. Not just people online, but you're going to have people on mainstream media like Stephen A. Smith, Kendra Perkins, people that have said stuff about Bronny before. That means you're going to pull up on everybody. If you're LeBron, you embarrass Bronny James.
One of the reasons I've always been so impressed with LeBron James, he didn't grow up with a father. Okay, it's pretty understood that both parents can, over the course of time, be very beneficial to any child who then becomes an adult. LeBron James has stayed out of trouble, and he did not have that guiding, strong hand of a father. And yet, you would never know it. He's been a terrific father, a terrific husband, a wonderful businessman. He is such a good friend. I know two of LeBron's friends. LeBron's a great friend.
Good for LeBron. And congrats, bro.
Could I argue that LeBron takes so much pride in being a father because he did not have that at home, that he is going to err on the side of overprotective? And I'm going to defend the hell out of LeBron for that, right? Like, I'm sorry. Now, again, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm too sympathetic. And my dad wasn't always around, but he was around enough that I had a dad.
Yeah, I know LeBron, he grew up without a father, and salute to him for, staying out the way, not getting into any serious trouble. But this whole conversation is going left field. We're just talking about LeBron James stepping up to Stephen A. Smith over some comments that he may have deemed disrespectful. But I just think this whole thing was really just about LeBron. Let me control the narrative. Let me, put this stuff out there. Let me go ahead and confront him. Not gonna call him because I want to see him in person, and that's his right. But still, so if you're LeBron, you've done a great job at this point, really staying out the way when it comes to bringing this type of energy. But you got your son in the NBA, and people are going to comment on him. So I hope LeBron James steps to everybody that says some stuff about Bronny James.